this week in Indonesia, a move that's igniting outrage and reigniting painful memories of the past. Former authoritarian leader Suharto has been officially declared a national hero. Yup, the announcement made by President Prabowo Subianto, who also happens to be Suharto's former son-in-law, has sparked accusations of historical revisionism and fears that Indonesia's democracy is beginning to forget one of its darkest chapters. Let's get into it.
Oh boy. Since we've made this guy a national hero, I'd also like to nominate a candidate of my own. Benjamin Netanyahu. Sure, Netanyahu has made some bad decisions, but he's only human. And he did help to build the Israeli economy. And sure, Netanyahu has violated human rights, but who cares about human rights when you can have money? And speaking of money, Netanyahu might be corrupt, but at least he built the Israeli economy. And who even cares about Netanyahu invading?
The title was conferred during a ceremony on last Monday morning, where President Prabowo handed the award to Suharto's daughter and son. The announcer described Suharto as a hero of the struggle for independence, a figure from Central Java who fought against colonial powers during 1940s. But many Indonesians see something very different. Suharto's three-decade rule from 1967 to 1998 was marked by rampant corruption, media censorship, and one of the bloodiest anti-communist purges in history, where historians estimate up to 500,000 people were killed. He was forced from power in 1998 after massive protests and deadly riots amid an economic crisis, dying 8 years later, in 2006, at the age of 86. For many, the decision to honor Suharto feels like an insult to the victims and their families. Usman Hamid of Amnesty International Indonesia called the move utterly absurd, saying it's a blatant whitewashing of historical crimes. This decision ignores the aspirations of civil society and the victims who continue to demand justice. President Prabowo, who once served as a special forces commander, was dismissed from the military in 1998, the same year his father-in-law was toppled. He has long been accused of involvement in the abduction of pro-democracy activists, though he denies any wrongdoing. Now, as head of state, his admiration for Suharto, his open admiration, has raised concerns that Indonesia's current leadership is rewriting history in favor of military dominance. Defending the move, Indonesia's culture minister Zion said Suharto deserved the title because of his military service against the Dutch in 1949. He denied Suharto's involvement in the 1965-66 massacres, despite decades of documented evidence and eyewitness accounts to the contrary. But that defense hasn't quieted the backlash. In Jakarta, pro-democracy groups and survivors of Suharto's regime have taken to the streets, holding signs that reads "Thousands died, but the country chose to forget." They accuse the government of sanitizing history to legitimize authoritarian figures and also to downplay decades of abuse. Indonesia gains its independence in 1945, rising from colonial rule to becoming one of the world's largest democracies. But this latest decision, honoring a man associated with one of the deadliest political purges of the 20th century, has left many wondering, is Indonesia moving forward or back into the shadows of its past? For now, the government has offered no comment on the protests or the growing criticism. But the symbolism is very clear. At a time when democracy worldwide is under pressure, Indonesia's choice to celebrate an authoritarian leader has reopened old wounds and reminded the world just how fragile truth can be when history is rewritten. For the African Diaspora News Channel, I'm Brittany McCoy, reporting for Global Voices from across the diaspora. Until next time, be sure to like, share, comment, subscribe, and leave your thoughts down below. Until next time I see you, stay informed, Stay connected.